Hey guys, it's Liv here, and in today's video, we're going to be using a team built around Terastal Normal Dragonite to show just how amazing this thing is offensively. If you guys enjoy this type of content and you want to see more, leave a like below and subscribe for more content just like this. We're just at about 3,000 subscribers, and I would love to see you guys get in there before we hit that milestone. And with that said, let's get started. First up, of course, we have another Banded Dragon Bolt team. This is our backup Terastal option here, just in the off chance Dragonite has a bad matchup. But I've really yet to see many matchups where DD Dragonite has actually a not bringable matchup. So we have Banded Pull. It will probably end up just clicking Dragonite, Sucker Punch, and U-Turn the whole time, which should be enough. We have some decent checks to Steals and Fairies on this team, so I'm not too concerned about them. So we don't overly need to rely on Terra Blast here, but again, if it's here in case if Dragonite does end up dying for whatever reason early in the match, this is a really good backup. Up next, we do have Hatterene with Psychic, Draining Kiss, Mystical Fire, and Calm Mind. Honestly, this is an amazing check to just any sort of fighting type or fairy type in the tier, barring Annihilate. Well, not fairy type. It's really just, I should say dark type to be fair, but more so after a couple Calm Minds. Especially this thing is great for Pokemon such as Iron Valiant though, which really do, of course, they're very common in the tier. And on top of this as well, it's great for bouncing out hazards from stuff like Lamora, so then we don't need to worry as much about clicking Defog, because it's definitely a lost turn for this sort of team in my opinion, despite still having the ability to do so, to be fair. Next, we do have Chi-Yu with a Choice Specs, an amazing offensive piece here, and it's our biggest special threat by a good amount. We have Psychic, Overheat, Flamethrower, and Dark Pulse. Basically, this Pokemon is designed to just be a really good specs breaker for the team, KO any sort of physical walls, and then allow stuff like Dragon Pull and Dragonite to completely massacre teams offensively speaking. We have Great Tusk up next with Stealth Rock, Rapid Spin, Knockoff, and Earthquake, just designed to be a really good hazard option as well as a good Rapid Spinner. This is great for in terms of a defensive option with Earthquake, as well as making sure that, of course, Great Tusk is able to completely destroy teams with the offensive presence it provides, just from its naturally high physical attack stat. It's an amazing steal killer in this regard, and Knockoff as well is great to remove boots from opponents that might try and come in on us, since we are, of course, going to be a ground type. A lot of flying types might switch in. Stuff like Dragonite and Corviknight, for example. While Corviknight, to be fair, wouldn't be running boots, it'd probably be running Helmet, which that's also good to clear for Dragonite and Dragon Pult. So overall, the knockoff is extremely appreciated from this Pokemon here. Moving on to MAGNEZONE though, we do have an Assault Vest set. This is an amazing check to stuff like Goldango that litter the tier currently, with Volt Switch, Terra Blast, Thunderbolt, and Flash Cannon. With the Terra Blast, we do have the Terra Flying option. This is great for matchups such as Great Tusk, where we could potentially go for Terra Flying on any sort of incoming ground or fighting hit, and then completely massacre them with the Terra Blast Flying type. So overall, this is a pretty decent piece defensively here, as well as offensively, depending on the matchup. Final on the team though, we do have Dragonite, of course. With heavy duty boots, we have the E-Speed, Fire Punch, Earthquake, and Dragon Dance. Basically, this is just designed to be our main Terra option here, with Fire Punch and Earthquake being designed to handle any sort of Dragonite checks, such as Scizor, Corviknight, or even stuff like MAGNEZONE, for example. Ultimately though, this Pokemon is just meant to be a really good offensive piece, and it's a really strong win con in my opinion. I would say this is probably one of, if not the best Terastal options currently in OU, just solely off the fact that Terra Normal E-Speed with the incredible bulk Dragonite provides allows us an extremely easy setup opportunity in most cases. So if you're looking for a really strong Terastal option to use to get in before this current suspect test, I highly recommend trying Terastal Normal Dragonite. It's such a fun mon to use. With that said, that's going to be our team for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and with that said, let's get right into the battle. Peace out, guys. Hey guys, it's Liv here. In today's video, we're going to be taking on another OU Wi-Fi battle where we're playing against Goldango, Pao, Iron Valiant, Dragonite, Annihilate, and Garchomp. If you guys enjoy this and you want to see more, of course, make sure you leave a like in the video and subscribe. And with that said, let's get right into it. I'm anticipating my opponent to probably lead off with one of Garchomp or Annihilate, and I think honestly with that in mind, my best lead is Objectively Great Tusk. This should be an amazing lead no matter what my opponent goes for, and I think that the end goal here is probably Terra on, it's definitely Terra on one of Dragonite, Dragon Pult, or Chi-Yu. I know that might seem kind of obvious, you know, they're definitively my Terra captains here, well, my Terramons here, but even still, I feel like these are just the most clear-cut choices in my opinion, looking at the matchup here. But regardless though, good luck, have fun to my opponent. I feel pretty confident in this team to do some work, and if you want to try it yourself, make sure that you hit the link down below, of course. My opponent is going to lead off right away with, oh, I forgot to see the Mon actually. They're going to lead off with Goldango actually. Okay, this is fine. This is perfectly fine. So looking at this, let's see, sorry, I'm passing up I'm putting my team up on screen because I forgot to pull that up on the side. Okay, so as far as my lead goes, I think I kind of want to just click Knockoff. Actually, no, I'm I'm going to click Stealth Rock. No, I'm going to click Knockoff. Knockoff should be pretty decent against Goldengo, while also still being great for stuff like Dragonite. I can remove Boots, which will be amazing for that Pokemon later on. They're going to proceed to go into Garchomp here, which I'm actually also pretty fine with. Despite taking of course, the rough skin damage and probably Rocky Helmet too, we're going to be, of course, getting that back through leftovers. And we're so defensive that this won't actually matter too much long term, in my opinion. Not only this, but I can proceed to get the Stealth Rocks up next turn into a potential Rapid Spin, where I'll keep my hazards up as well as potentially wear down my opponents. So that's what I think I'm going to do. My opponent's going to proceed to go for Earthquake meanwhile, which I'm perfectly okay with. We have now revealed that this is a Rocky Helmet Garchomp with Rough Skin, and also it has Earthquake. Which, I mean, none of these should have been too out there, but it's good information to have, of course, because this could have maybe been a lot of different things, like Leftovers Garchomp, for example. It could have maybe been Scarf Garchomp. Obviously, Rocky Helmet's the best set right now, so I'm not too concerned regarding this, but it's still good information to have nonetheless. We'll click Earthquake here in the off chance that my opponent... Okay, yep, they go for Rocks. This is fine because I could Rapid Spin them away next turn with actually no regret at all. Meanwhile, if my opponent clicked an offensive move here, that was also fine, because the offensive move meant that I didn't have to clear hazards following up. So I'm pretty okay with either action here, in my opinion. My opponent's going to probably click Earthquake at this point, which means I just get a free Rapid Spin into an Earthquake on the following turn. They're actually going to proceed to go for Spikes, which means that they have now gotten up dual hazards. And again, I outpace them on the following turn. So I'm pretty okay with this. They actually took a lot of damage from their Rapid Spin. I know that, to be fair, that Great Tusk just has a decent damage output, but that did more than I thought. Regardless, though, we've cleared both sets of hazards, and we're free to just click Earthquake now. Even if my opponent decides to swap into Dragonite, that's fine. I should actually outpace Dragonite, which means I can get another knockoff off, and that would be great for my opponent because, well, not for my opponent, for my matchup against my opponent, I should say, because they're no longer going to be as much of a threat in the long term. They're only going to be a threat, I guess, in the immediate moment, which even still, even if they're not Boots, let's say I'm over predicting the item. Weakness Policy means I don't have to worry about this Dragonite getting up a setup option into then having +3 physical attack with Dragon Dance and Weakness Policy. If it's banded, that's great too, because making sure the Dragonite doesn't keep the band just weakens its damage output significantly with Terra. They're going to proceed to go into Goldengo here, which I'm perfectly fine with. I think that my play here is just to click Earthquake. If they are Scarfed, I don't mind because this is good information to scout for. And not only this, but I can actually, well, no, I can't bring in MAGNEZONE because of the fact that they are a Ghost type. They actually can't get trapped. However, what I could do, I could still bring in MAGNEZONE anyway, just because it's Assault Vest, to be honest. And this is still a decent switch in, if nothing else. And I can proceed to actually go for Volt Switch. They have no ground type at the current moment, which is amazing for me. So this Volt Switch actually is obnoxiously free, and it's good momentum too against everything here. They'll proceed to withdraw, which is perfectly fine. They were probably, of course, afraid of like a Terastal Fire. They're going to bring in Annihilate, which means just free Dragapult. My Dragapult, of course, is Choice Banded, so this Dragonite should do a good amount of damage. I don't even really actually need to click anything like Terra Blast Ghost, though I could actually. I could click Terra Blast Ghost. However, I think that ultimately my best play is to bring in Chiyu. Chiyu should guarantee outpace this. And I could proceed to go for a Dark Pulse here. Dark Pulse has no actual switch in because their only resists are Iron Valiant and Chimpao, both of which will take way too much damage. So, you know what? Yeah, I am going to click Dark Pulse. I think it's better than letting Dragonite get a free switch in here. And not only this, but Terastal Water is like one of the most common types for this thing to Terastal into. And I don't really want to go for a Fire move against that. They are going to proceed to go for Terastal Water. Yep, okay, beautiful. So we have now taken out the Annihilate pretty freely with our Choice Specs Chiyu. They would basically need to be Choice Scarf, which would be a very interesting combination around Terastal Water for. They're actually going to take this. Keep in mind, this is a Choice Specs Chiyu. I'm genuinely shocked they took this hit, I'll be honest. But regardless, my opponent is definitively going to get taken out next turn. So we're just going to go for another Dark Pulse here. We do need to be a little bit troublesome, I guess, of priority, which stuff like EC Dragonite could be a little bit to keep in mind for. But other than that, we're sitting pretty. I could probably let this go down. I feel like everything at this point is not really an issue, and basically this is really the only mon, I guess, that Chiyu would have a good matchup against, considering the Goldengo Scarfed. The Dragonite has E-Speed most likely. They're actually going to switch into Iron Valiant here, which I'm perfectly fine with. This just means that we get a very free attack. If they're Boost Energy, which they are not actually Boost Energy. Okay, so you know what? Let's figure out what their set is. Because Dark Pulse should do enough anyway to where I can probably just revenge this off with Sucker Punch. So if they go for a setup option here, I'm still fine. they'll go for Moonblast. This does reveal, of course, special. Annihilate should be dead to rocks. Well, no, it's not dead because they got the Drain Punch off, right? Okay. So I'm going to go into how much do we actually take versus Iron Valiant? Because I'm curious about how much Iron Valiant actually would do with Focus Blast. We are Assault Vest MAGNEZONE, so I feel like we should take this hit pretty well, considering the fact that we are fairly bulky. And again, Assault Vest should help a lot with this. So versus a Focus Blast set, if this is going to go for, let's say, some sort of offensive, it would basically need to be boosting item, which we know for a fact, at best, it could be Expert Belt. So I'm just going to go into MAGNEZONE here, and I'm going to click Volt Switch. Again, it's free momentum against everything, and there's no way in hell that Iron Valiant stays in, unless if it's some sort of not offensive boosting item, I guess. They're going to withdraw. This is leading me to believe this is probably choice specs, if I had to guess. But I don't really have that information, I'll be honest. Annihilate's definitely going to be going down here, which I'm fine with, in all honesty. Truthfully, I would rather make such an obvious play and give my opponent the advantage of knowing what I'm bringing in than for going into... For staying in and letting something like, for example, Trickle Dango, which probably wouldn't be the switch into, truthfully be Dragonite, and it'd probably click Earthquake here. But I'm still fine with making the switch regardless. This is still a really good check to stuff like Goldango and Iron Valiant, and maybe Qian Pao potentially later on. What I'm going to do here instead, I'm actually going to bring in my own Dragonite. I think that my Dragonite at this point should be pretty fine against everything that wants to come in. If the Qian Pao decides to come in here, I'm going to proceed to click Terastal Normal and just go for E-Speed. Otherwise, I'm probably going to take the Dragon Dance turn, in all honesty. Because even if my opponent goes into Valiant, and even if they're Scarfed, I'm fine with this. Goldango, actually, I would probably just Earthquake, to be fair. Because I can't really risk that thing being Timid Scarf. That would outpace me guaranteed. And that's kind of a detriment. So, as far as my opponent goes, I think they're going to go into Qian Pao here. I feel like that they don't really have a play otherwise, in all honesty. They are going to go into Qian Pao. Let's see what their item is. So, they're proceeding to, at the very least, show they're an offensive set, which is good to note. Okay, so I'm kind of curious. How much does Terastal Normal E-Speed do versus Qian Pao? We're not actually going to KO, which is a little unfortunate. However, does Qian Pao KO me, I guess, is the next question. Let's see. So we do have multi-scale up, obviously. Oh, you know what? Right, because we're changing our type. We'll actually guarantee take this hit. So yeah, we're going to go for the E-Speed here. I could go for Dragon Dance, to be fair. However, I feel like ultimately, my best play is just going for E-Speed. I guess, I don't know. I feel like this is still my best play. I don't want my opponent getting off, switching to Goldango on my E-Speed on the following turn, when I would guarantee, well, I guess it wouldn't matter, huh? I probably should have clicked Dragon Dance here, to be fair, but it's not a huge deal regardless. Maybe we can take this out anyway, but we shouldn't be able to. Yeah, we shouldn't be able to. Okay. But at the very least now, one benefit to this, actually, is Qian Pao cannot actually come back in. Qian Pao will guarantee die to rocks on the following turn, so I'm free to just click E-Speed. They have no reason to even preserve this Pokemon anymore. So, as far as Goldango goes, they're probably just max with Make It Rain. Our multi-scale is not intact, so they might take us out, but it is definitely still a roll, to be fair. They would have to do... So they peak at 91 for this, if they're Timid. If they're Timid Scarf, which is the set that I'm pretty sure they are, they're going to actually go into Dragonite instead, which, let's see, what's their item? They're definitely Boots. Okay, good to know. We'll click E-Speed. We'll click E-Speed here. There's not really a reason to click any other move, in all honesty, because we always get the Sucker Punch advantage versus them with Dragon Bolt. They can't actually out-priority us in that regard. So even if they click Dragon Dance and they outpace us, which I believe Jolly would. Well, yeah, Jolly definitely would. So I can't even really tempt fate with that. However, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to click E-Speed again. If my opponent goes for an E-Speed of their own, that's fine. They would KO us, to be fair. No, they actually don't, right? Because they don't have Terastal. Okay, so again, my opponent should be in Sucker Punch range at this point. Because they can't ever E-Speed my Dragon Bolt. Meanwhile, I can always Sucker Punch my opponent. And honestly, with how weak my opponent's team is, they're looking in a really bad position for Dragon Bolt endgame. So my Dragonite is gone. That's fine. Theirs has Dragon Dance and Extreme Speed. So I think that my end plan here is to go into Dragon Bolt, and I'm going to click Sucker Punch. If Iron Valiant comes in, I'm going to go into Hatterene, I think. Because Hatterene, I think, will ultimately be my safest play there. So we're going to go for Sucker. I can't really click anything else, because if Dragonite raw attacks me, then that's over. Dragonite's gone. Beautiful. Okay. So if Qian Pao comes in, I think regardless, well, Qian Pao's dead. Goldengo should die to Sucker Punch. How much does Dragapult actually do? I'm kind of curious. So with Sucker, they're guaranteed gonna have to take this at face value. Let's see. So they actually would guarantee take this hit. 100%. We're gonna go into. Well, I think I'm gonna have to go into. I think I'm gonna go into MAGNEZONE here, just hard MAGNEZONE. If they click a fighting move, so be it. I think what they're probably gonna do is they're gonna click Shadow Ball. It's a really nice middle ground for everything here, and I should be able to take 2 of those. I would be genuinely shocked if I didn't. They're gonna go for Shadow Ball, perfectly fine. And how much does this do? Yeah, that's a 3 KO, beautiful. Spidef fell, not a huge deal actually, believe it or not, because all I actually need to do is go for Volt Switch into Sucker Punch, and that should be enough. Not having a Smon around isn't really going to be a huge detriment to my endgame in all honesty, because all I need to do is actually take out Iron Valiant, which I could do between Dragapult and Hatterene. That shouldn't be a big concern of mine. We're going to proceed to go into Dragapult here. All I need to do is click Sucker Punch, and I should be good. I still have MAGNEZONE as a sack, which is really the most important thing it could do. My opponent will probably use this turn to sack Qianpao, which I'm fine with. If they don't, so be it. Goldengo's dead, and that's even better for me. They're going to sack Qianpao here. Perfectly fine. That should just... Oh, they're actually going to go into Iron Valiant here. Okay, well, this is fine, too. I can actually just sack... I can sack MAGNEZONE, and then I can proceed to bring in either... Most likely the Hatterene on the following turn, because MAGNEZONE doesn't really do anything anymore, actually. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to sack MAGNEZONE here. If they go into Qianpao, that's fine. I just sack this to something else. But it's not really a big concern of mine regardless, because I would still get that field advantage guaranteed. So they would basically need to sack Qianpao, I think, on the turn that I bring in Hatterene. I think it's really their only actual out, because they would need to try and KO my Hatterene with their Goldengo. They're going to go for Moonblast here. Perfectly fine. I should be able to just go for a Psychic, like a raw Psychic. Actually... What do I want to do? I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to click Calm Mind. Because I feel like that with Calm Mind, that should be really decent for if my opponent does go the sack Qianpao route. I can try and take this hit as well as possible. Because Qianpao is going to die to rocks. There's no real reason to actually not go for Calm Mind this turn. Because then I could try and set myself up as well as possible versus Goldengo. And with the +1 Spidef, I should actually take this hit pretty well. Goldengo actually cannot take me out, even with Make It Rain. They're going to actually take this... Oh, no, they went hard in Goldengo. Okay, well, this is fine, too. With the +1 Mystical Fire, we actually... I don't think we take out Goldengo, to be fair. No, we do. We do. We guarantee take it out. Okay, beautiful. So then, yeah, I'm going to click Mystical Fire here. Because even if Hatterene... I don't know, if Iron Valiant comes in hard, that's good for me as well. They're going to proceed to go for the Make It Rain here. This is fine. We're going to be able to go for Mystical Fire. And then versus Iron Valiant, I think that my play is going to have to be to go into Dragapult. And I need to kind of hope the Terra Blast KOs. It's kind of what we're at. Terra Blast, I think it can KO. How much do we do with that? Let's see. Okay. So Iron Valiant's going to come back in. It's going to take hazards. What's my best play here? Let's see. So Terra Blast from a choice... Sorry, it's trying to fucking click Choice Band. There we go, Choice Band. Yeah, that should do enough. Okay, so then yeah, we're gonna click Draining Kiss here, just in the off chance that my opponent doesn't click an offensive move. They're gonna click Moonblast, so be it. Now let's see. I do need to double check really quick. I want to make sure that this is Photon even outside. Let's see. Okay. Terra Blast becomes a physical move. Okay, yeah. So perfect. So then, yeah, this should guaranteed be a physical move. It's not just with Terastal. I just had to make sure. Just had to verify this. So then, yeah, Terra Blast would be my best play, and it should take this Mon out. It should guarantee take this Mon out. Terra Blast goes off, and it doesn't take it out. Unfortunate. Yeah, okay, you know what? Very close game regardless, though. I really thought that would KO, but holy shit, this Mon is actually kind of bulky. You know what? Really close game regardless. Really came down to the last turn, because Qianpao was basically... It just died to rocks at that point. But... Oh, never mind. They must have sacked it earlier on, and I didn't even realize. Well, regardless though, a very good game to my opponent. Make sure, of course, that if you enjoy the content, you leave a like and subscribe for more. Shout out to channel members being Josh aka Ultra Player, Mia, Zeke0, Matt O'Shea, and Nox Nocturnal. If you guys want to become channel members today, we actually have some discussion videos starting at 5 o'clock EST, where we're going to be going over just some different guides or discussion videos. Today's in particular, I've decided is going to be for, is open team sheet a bad thing or a good thing for VGC? And I want to discuss the merits of that. And then next week, we're probably going to go into Terastal for OU. So if these sort of videos or other team building guides that I'll get into later in the generation interest you, make sure you hit the channel member button for a few dollars a month. Great way to support the channel. With that said, I will see you guys in tomorrow's video. We're going to be taking on the VGC ladder again. Until then, peace out, guys.